Joined in end of March 2010. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia for OSA training, which was about 4 months. Fort Benning is the home of the infantry. And then from there I went to Fort Hood, Texas, and was stationed at Fort Hood for just under 3 years. I spent a little under 11 months overseas in Iraq during that time.
With the Coast Guard, when I first joined, it was pretty much like blue dicky pants were our uniforms, button-down shirts. If you wanted a short sleeve one, you wore short sleeve, long sleeve, you wore long sleeve. Everybody looked out for everybody. And then Hurricane Katrina happened, and all of a sudden everybody went, holy shit, we're in the military. And our uniforms changed. The officers stopped listening to senior enlisted personnel. I saw people get in trouble for the stupidest of reasons. And I was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. It got very political.
As soon as you come out of either high school or whatever it is you go into the military, you are immersed through your boot camp. It's the first couple of weeks are rough, but after that you just kind of just go with it, have fun with it. I know it sounds like a cakewalk just by saying it. When you're in there, it sucks at first.
I loved the structure of the military. That to me, I don't know, I enjoyed being part of a team, I guess, that just had one common goal, and you knew exactly how everything was going to go pretty much every day. It didn't change. It was just, I don't know, I enjoyed the structure of it.
As far as going in, I expected hell on earth as far as going to basic and OSUT and whatnot, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And adjusting to the military style, I knew that pretty much I was going to be told what to do, when to do it, all day long. So once you have that mindset when you first get in, that's how it is for the first few months. Then after that is when it's not so, hey, do this, do that.
I loved being active duty so much that after I got out, I tried to get back in twice. I got out because of my kids. It was difficult with children. I was in military intelligence, and I was active duty when September 11th happened. So you can imagine, I was working basically 12 to 14-hour days. Several days a week. You'd usually maybe get 1 day off a week, and nobody wanted to babysit kids for that long.
I knew I wanted to go to school, didn't really know for what. And when I started working, when you are waiting to go to school or you're in school and you're working, you have to remind yourself what you're doing is just a stepping stone. You may not have the most prestigious job. I worked at a Home Depot. I liked what I did, but it wasn't necessarily something that I was proud of doing. Telling people, oh yeah, I work at Home Depot. Well, I was a machine gun instructor for almost a year, and then I go from that to working at Home Depot wearing an orange apron.
When I first came back, I was still technically on vacation in the military for about a month. And I did a lot of traveling, just trying to see as many people as I could in the amount of time that I had. And at first, it was really easy because I just spent all my time with my son as much as I possibly could. And then once I realized Plan A wasn't going to happen, and I started looking at Plan B, then started to get a little stressed because I really didn't know where income was going to come.
I got out in '07. I started right up with a company making good money, installing video cameras in cop cars around the country. But that started taking its toll, and then I just started drinking, and it was just weird, and because it wasn't like I didn't know it. I literally went from high school straight into boot camp and Coast Guard for 5 years. So it's like I found making friends, like close friends, very difficult. I usually just kept to myself, watch sporting events at a bar, pass out, get up, do it all again. And that was about 5 years. I held some good jobs, but I was definitely not functioning. Well, I was functioning, but I wouldn't say coping well. And then, as I said, I lost that job. Got laid off from that one job I was making. Like the last year I worked there, it was like $15,000 in bonuses alone. Got laid off from that, went to Seattle, didn't work out there, and as I came back, it seemed like I needed to lose that last job, or I never would have came to college. I would have been completely complacent, showing up to work hungover, still reeking of booze. So it took me a while, but I got there.
The biggest difficult was just dealing with individuals that weren't military. And then coming here, what I have found was just reaching out to other veterans and being able to talk to people freely without having to feel like you're hurting people's feelings. 'Cause
coming out of the military, like I said, I tried to get back in twice. Coming out, I was in military intelligence. I was a signals intelligence analyst, which sounds like super fancy and everything. But you get out of the military and you're like, yeah, I was a signals intelligence analyst. That was really cool and great and wonderful. But you're interviewing for jobs and they're looking at your resume and they say, yeah, you are overqualified, or maybe you should consider working for the CIA. And I'm looking at them saying, but I have 2 young children and I don't want to work for the CIA, and I just need a job and to be a civilian again. And it doesn't seem to mesh well. The whole transition from military to civilian is awkward.
Studying computer security and cyber forensics, and I chose the Ruggiero based off of multiple references. Told me to come here, some friends that I had made throughout my time, and then I still have National Guard commitment. When I went there, there's a couple people who are going to school there. Said it was a really good place to come, so I looked into it. I saw they had the Yellow Ribbon program, which is a huge difference. That means between the GI Bill and Yellow Ribbon program, my out-of-pocket expenses are pretty much almost nothing.
This is actually the second time I've returned to school, I guess. I completed my bachelor's degree in 2007, and I'd been working for several years and didn't like where my career was headed, so I decided about 2 years ago that I wanted to be an actuary, and so that's why I'm back in school, is to change careers.
I'm studying economics. I went a completely different route than anything. My past is in electronics and radar systems, and I just wanted something new, different, constantly changing. And I thought economics would be constantly changing, either micro or macro, I haven't decided. I chose RMU because I literally called Dan Rhoda at the vet center and I said, how much do I have to pay you to come here? He said, nothing. I said, do I have to take any tests? He goes, no. He goes, well, what do you need me to do? He's like, just send your military transcript and your high school transcript. I'm like, okay. And like 3 weeks later, I started my first semester.
I definitely have to say, just being able to find your way, planning, helped me stay on track, and remind yourself that as long as you're trying, there's always going to be a positive future.